Hello, I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we are ready for our May the 28th lesson in A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students, Lesson 148. We're reading from the original edition. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. If I defend myself, I am attacked. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. Sickness is a defense against the truth. Okay, so we're going to start off, and the way we've been trying to do these lessons is we want to take a little moment, or in our morning and our evening review of our practice, we want to take 5 minutes, set aside specifically for my mind holds only what I think with God. And we want to let all other thoughts fall away and only hold on to that one thought in that quiet space. My mind holds only what I think with God. Don't even worry at the beginning of your longer extended period what the other two lessons are. Just focus on my mind holds only what I think with God. And as our mind calms down and remember, whatever you focus on expands. That's kind of a principle I learned from my teacher Charlie as he taught me yoga. That wherever you put your focus on, expands your awareness. And we see that obviously. That whatever you're looking at, you gain more awareness of that. If you're looking at something physically. Well, in the mind, it's the same way. So we're going to focus on this concept. My mind holds only what I think with God. And it's going to expand in our awareness, and we're going to drop into, you might think of it, dropping into a more expanded state of awareness around that idea. My mind holds only what I think with God. And then after we've done that for, like I said, 5 minutes in the morning, throughout the day, every hour for just maybe a minute, then he wants us to then open our eyes, look at our lesson. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. And that would be today's lesson, which is the review of lesson 135 and 136. So now we're going to take a little longer. This, just whatever amount of time you need to receive your inheritance, your gift of your inheritance, a little deeper awareness of these ideas than what you would have received had you just said them without the preparation that ties them all together as a unified whole. My mind holds only what I think with God. Now we're going to receive them. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. I kind of thought maybe we might even do a little short meditation like that, but being that you can do that without the electronics, the technology, without the video, I chose not to do that. But realistically, to take 6-7 minutes to do a meditation, close your eyes for 5 minutes, thinking only. My mind holds only what I think with God. Try to just let everything else fall away. And then open your eyes, look at your lesson for that day. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. I really want you to understand that we're not wanting to just say these ideas. We're wanting to expand our awareness of the concept, my mind holds only what I think with God. And then from that expanded place, or that clarity of that, then we bring the other associated ideas for the day into it. Today's being, if I defend myself, I am attacked, and sickness is a defense against the truth. So hopefully that'll help you. Let's go take a look in our text reading, and we are ready for chapter 19, which is Beyond the Body, and we're ready for section 5, the obstacles to peace. And the first one, the first obstacle, the desire to get rid of it. Oh my, the desire to get rid of peace. It sounds ludicrous, but unfortunately, he's going to explain to us how we may very well be doing that very thing, and we need to watch that. Watch the unwatched mind. I told you about jcim.net. I did not tell you that is the original edition location, if you want to find it online to read it or have it read to you. And the acim.org website is where you can do the same thing, but with the edited version, which I like to think of it as being a primer extraordinaire. It was, there's about, I think I've heard about maybe 20% of the manuscript was edited out of the version, the Foundation for Inner Pieces version. And so there'll be some things that won't be there, but it's a very good addition, and I just think of it as the beginning point where they've removed as much as they can so that you can get the main message. Anyway, it's a primer extraordinaire. That's how I like to think of the Foundation for Inner Pieces version, and then a more complete version would be the version that we're using, the original version. Okay. All right. While you're turning to your where we're going to read, I want to tell you where I'm sitting at. I'm sitting out here where I just planted. You can see right over here just barely some little greens. What I did, I'm going to tell you about what I did. I took a sweet potato, always in the middle of the winter, put it in a jar with some toothpicks to hold it suspended, filled it with water, kept it filled with water. It rooted and grew long. Everybody's probably done sweet potatoes in a windowsill. Well, I had long sweet potatoes. They reached all the way from here all the way to where you see that mass of leaves right there in the middle of the dirt that I've worked up. That is the sweet potato. And what I did, I planted the sweet potato, and I took all the tendrils, which I think there were about 10 or 12 of them, and I planted them just under the surface and left some leaves sticking up. And now I'm hoping that just all roots in here, and this whole area will become a sweet potato, or sweet potatoes. It's really, because each place, normally you clip those off, put them in dirt, each leaf, and it makes a new potato. Well, instead of clipping them off, I'm getting late enough in the year, and I just went ahead and I just planted the whole sweet potato. We'll see how it does. I'm kind of hopeful that it's still got the potato without the roots, and I kind of hilled it up in the middle, and then I let all the tendrils grow out in the rest of this bed, or in a large area around it, and we'll just see how it does. And I'm not even sure exactly what kind of sweet potato it was. I just had one, and I put it in the water in the middle of the winter, but it's a sweet potato that I was eating. Okay, and I did want to tell you about an okra, a Star of David okra. I'm reading to you out of the Seed Savers Exchange, also called old-fashioned okra. The tall 7-foot plant of this variety have purple coloration on the leaves. Its thick pods are best picked at approximately 3 inches long. Cross sections of the pods look like Star of David, giving this variety its name. Like many okra varieties, this plant bears beautiful flowers and foliage that warrant a place in the ornamental border. 60 to 75 days. All right, so that's your Star of David okra. Okay, let's read obstacles to peace. A, the first obstacle, the desire to get rid of it. The first obstacle that peace must flow across is your desire to get rid of it. For it cannot extend unless you keep it. You are the center from which it radiates outward to call the others in. You are its home, its tranquil dwelling place, from which it gently reaches out but never leaving you. If you would make it homeless, how can it abide within the Son of God? If it would spread across the whole creation, it must begin with you, and from you reach to everyone who calls, and bring him rest by joining you. Why would you want peace homeless? What do you think that it must dispossess to dwell with you? What seems to be the cost you are so unwilling to pay? The little barrier of sand still stands between you. Would you reinforce it now? You are not asked to let it go for yourselves alone. Christ asks it of you for himself. He would bring peace to everyone. And how can he do this except through you? Would you let a little bank of sand, a wall of dust, a tiny seeming barrier stand between your brothers and salvation? And yet, it is this little remnant of attack you cherish still against each other that is the first obstacle the peace in you encounters in its going forth. This little wall of hatred would still oppose the will of God and keep the will of God limited. The Holy Spirit's purpose, did you get that? I mean, let's make sure you got that. Would you let a little bank of sand? So Christ asks it of you for himself. Would you reinforce it now? The idea that I wanted to make sure that you got out of that paragraph 41, what do you think that it must dispossess to dwell with you? What seems to be the cost you are so unwilling to pay? The little barrier of sand still stands between you. Would you reinforce it now? You're not asked to let go for yourselves alone. Christ asks it of you for himself. He would bring peace to everyone. And how can he do this except through you? Would you let a little bank of sand, a wall of dust, a tiny seeming barrier stand between your brothers and salvation? And yet it is this little remnant of attack you cherish still. This little remnant of attack you cherish still. That's what I wanted to bring our attention to. I read all that to find that one sentence. This little remnant of attack you cherish still against each other is the first obstacle the peace in you encounters in its going forth. So you're cherishing guilt still in your brother, and you still have kind of a negative attitude towards him at a subtle level. And he's saying peace has to flow across that little remnant of attack that you cherish. This little wall of hatred would still oppose the will of God and keep it limited. The Holy Spirit's purpose rests in peace within you. Yet you are still unwilling to let it join you wholly. You still oppose the will of God just by a little, and that little is a limit you would place upon the whole. God's will is one, not many. God's will is one, not many. It has no opposition, for there is none beside it. What you would still contain behind your little barrier and keep separate from each other seems mightier than the universe, for it would hold back the universe and its creator. This little wall would hide the purpose of heaven and keep it from heaven. Would you thrust salvation away from the giver of salvation? For such have you become. Would you thrust salvation away from the giver of salvation? For such have you become. The giver of salvation is what you've become. So don't want to throw peace away from that, because you've got to extend peace, or share peace. For such have you become, a giver of salvation. Peace could no more depart from you than from God. Fear not the little obstacle. It cannot contain the will of God. Peace will flow across it and join you without hindrance. Salvation cannot be withheld from you. It is your purpose. You cannot will apart from this. You have no purpose apart from each other, nor apart from the one you asked the Holy Spirit to share with you. The little wall will fall away so quietly beneath the wings of peace. The little wall, that little wall of cherished guilt, a cherished attack, will fall away so quietly beneath the wings of peace. For peace will send its messengers from you to all the world, and barriers will fall away before their coming, as easily as those which you would interpose will be surmounted. To overcome the world is no more difficult than to surmount your little wall, that little wall of obstacle to peace, that little cherished attack. For in the miracle of your relationship, without this barrier, is every miracle contained. Oh, let's make sure we got that. For the miracle of your relationship, without this barrier to peace, is every miracle contained. There is no order of difficulty in miracles, for they are all the same. Each is a gentle winning over from the appeal of guilt to the appeal of love. How can this fail to be accomplished? Wherever it is undertaken, guilt can raise no real barriers against it, and all that seems to stand between you must fall away because of the appeal you answered. For from you who answered, he who answered you would call. His home is in your holy relationship. So the Holy Spirit's home, peace's home, is in your holy relationship. Do not attempt to stand between him and his holy purpose, for it is yours. It's your purpose too. But let him quietly extend the miracle of your relationship to everyone contained in it. And it was given, as it was given. Wow. 45. There is a hush in heaven, a happy expectancy, a little pause of gladness in acknowledgement of the journey's end. For heaven knows you well, as you know heaven. No illusions stand between you now. Look not upon the little wall of shadows. The sun has risen over it. How can a shadow keep you from the sun? No more can you be kept by shadows from the light in which illusions end. No more can you be kept by shadows from the light in which illusions end. Every miracle is but the end of an illusion. Every miracle is but the end of an illusion. Such was the journey, such its ending, and in the goal of truth which you accepted, must all illusions end. The little insane wish to get rid of him who you invited in and push him out must produce conflict. As you look upon the world, this little wish, uprooted and floating aimlessly, can land and settle briefly upon anything, for it has no purpose now. Before the Holy Spirit entered to abide with you, it seemed to have a mighty purpose, the fixed and unchangeable dedication to sin and its results. Wow. Before the Holy Spirit entered to abide with you, it seemed to have a mighty purpose, the fixed and unchangeable dedication to sin and its results. Now it is aimless, wandering pointlessly, causing no more than tiny interruptions in love's appeal. This feather of a wish, this tiny illusion, this microscopic remnant of the belief in sin, is all that remains of what once seemed to be the world. The microscopic remnant of sin. It is no longer an unrelenting barrier to peace. Its pointless wandering makes its results appear to be more erratic and unpredictable than before. Yet what could be more unstable than a tightly organized delusional system? Its seeming stability is its pervasive weakness, which extends to everything. The variability which the little remnant induces merely indicates its limited results. So we're starting to see that we want peace, and we might occasionally recognize that we're unstable without it. And yet, what could be more unstable than a fixed position where you think the guilt is real and you have no real abiding deep peace, which is what we had before we understood that we could listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit by following our inner peace and staying fixed with it in every moment of the day where joy comes forth. Okay, and the last paragraph for today, 48, and this will end this little section, section A, and that is, How mighty can a little feather be before the great wings of truth? Can it oppose an eagle's flight or hinder the advance of summer? Can it interfere with the effects of summer sun upon a garden covered by the snow? See but how easily this little wisp is lifted up and carried away, never to return, and part with it in gladness, not regret. For it is nothing in itself, and stood for nothing when you had greater faith in its protection. Would you not rather greet the summer sun than fix your gaze upon a disappearing snowflake and shiver in remembrance of the winter's cold? So that little remnant of attack is still that peace must flow across that in ourselves. So be sure to watch the unwatched mind. Doing the lessons every day will help to lodge out those remnants of attack that we still are cherishing. That peace must flow across before it can extend to everyone. All right, so let's use our lesson to do that very thing. In our lesson today, my mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. Now let's try it just for a minute together. This would be kind of like what you would do during your lessons for the day every hour. My mind holds only what I think with God. Let every other thought but this fall away. My mind holds only. My mind holds only what I think with God. Now from that place of quiet and assurance and realization, say to yourself, open your eyes if you need to, but remember, pull your card out, look at it. Remind yourself, if I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. And then close your eyes again if you can, and take just a moment to be appreciative that that is true. Tie it all together in your mind. My mind holds only what I think with God. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. Thank you all so much for joining me out here in my garden, right in my sweet potato patch now. And we will see you tomorrow. My mind holds only what I think with God. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth.